Hello everybody, this is Raghuram, Superintendent, Additional Director General Audit, Bangalore Zonal Unit. This video specifically covers with regard to the audit plan, which is part of the desk review created by the audit groups. Normally this audit plan needs to be approved by the audit in charge and also should discuss all the problem areas which are identified while the desk review process. The most important thing here is the audit plan should be presented in the format which is prescribed in the Central Excise Service Tax Audit Manual 2015. Now, we will also discuss about the format of this particular audit plan during the lecture. The most important thing is the audit plan is created as a culmination of many activities which are normally done during the desk review. We have to reiterate certain issues with regard to the items of work which are done before creation of an audit plan. The most important being the creation of SSC master file, the updation of the SSC master file, and the desk review portion of the SSC master file, that is the trend analysis, the ratio analysis, and the revenue risk analysis. Now, on doing these analysis, we are getting the specific variances documented in the working papers which need to be cross-referenced in the audit plan. The most important areas are very much from the desk review portion, that is the beginning portion, which talks about the analysis portion. Now, beyond this, the most important areas are the evaluation of internal controls. So, when we do the evaluation of every single part of the internal control mechanism of a company, we also bring out the errors and the defections with regard to these internal control procedures which are available in the system of the company. Apart from this, any differences or deviations or discrepancies noticed with regard to the tax audit reports, the cost audit reports, and the auditor's report, the director's report, VAT report, for that matter, every single document which is filed as part of the SSC master file would be brought into this particular audit plan. Now, audit plan is definitely, as I told you before also, is not a standardized one wherein I take some 7 or 8 areas and apply the same thing for every single audit. That is not possible. So how do I do it? So my audit has to be planned in such a fashion that the documents which are to be verified in the or during the audit are very clearly identified when I am bringing out the audit plan. Take for that matter, if at all, if I am taking SENVAT. SENVAT being an area, now I am going to verify any document which is related to SENVAT. Now, what is the document which is going to reflect the SENVAT? It is the purchase invoices. Now, these purchase invoices, whether it is Central Excise purchase invoices or input service invoices, whatever it is, will also be verified along with many other documents which relate to that particular document. Now, what are those documents? There might be a register which is related to that. There might be accounting vouchers which are related to that. In a Central Excise case, you may also verify a GRN for that particular issue. So, all these form part of your audit plan. Now, the very simple understanding of an audit plan is that it is a culmination of the desk review portion, whatever has been done till date before the audit plan is generated. As I told you, the preliminary review, the trend analysis, and the evaluation of internal control along with the assessment data which is available with the group at that point in time. The other things what I normally look into would be very clearly will be related to the complexity of that particular audit. Now, the materiality aspect will always be looked into, like huge heavy volume items or high volume items will definitely be looked into as a part of the audit plan. Now, these high volume items, we have done it through the ABC analysis. Definitely a walkthrough is being done, but this particular part of it would be done only in cases of central excise large units. But whereas in all the other cases with regard to medium units or in the smaller units or with regard to the service tax units, this particular exercise would not have been performed before. So this need to be brought in the audit plan. Beyond that, any large questionable items which are like maybe an invoice which is worth 5 lakhs, or where a duty a transaction which has taken place for more than 10 lakhs, or some specific such bigger volume items should also be part of your audit plan so that it should not miss your verification. So the most important thing is not only bringing in the information what is already available in the desk review, but also some more information like maybe the goods specific related information, like they are availing an exemption, or it is an evasion prone product, or it is an evasion prone service. So related items related to that particular issue also should be brought into the audit plan. Apart from this, the most important thing is bringing out the audit plan in a proper format. Now, as I told you, there will be only 6 or 7 columns in that particular audit plan format. Now, the first one is the area, the subject area. Now, the subject area is something like a SENVAT. I am very clearly mentioning the areas are going to be very specific. The area cannot be a balance sheet. In some of the audit plans, we have seen that area subject is balance sheet. Subject cannot be balance sheet. Subject is related to the subject of the errors which can, where in the areas which can happen. It can be a SENVAT, it can be classification, it can be valuation, it can be something like that, and not the document itself. Now, the next column being the specific issue, that is the item which is going to be verified with regard to this particular subject. If at all, if it is going to be valuation, then the exemption which is availed will be the issue of that particular verification. So the first 2 columns are very clear. One is subject, second one is the specific issue which is related to that. Now the third one being the source document. Now what would be a source document with regard to this valuation? It will be the invoice. That will become the source document. Now the next column being the backup document. Now what can be a backup document for the source document called invoice? The documents which relate to this particular invoice. Wherever the information is mentioned, the vouchers which are related to that, the sales registers and the accounts receivable part of it will all become part of this particular source document. Now they all are the accounting entries with regard to this particular invoice. Now whatever is backed up with the financial records will all form part of the backup documents. Now apart from the backup document, what more are you going to look into? There are 2 more columns which says that, one being the period. Now period is specifically there is an audit period which is mentioned. Now audit period being one particular year or 2 years. Now the coverage period normally is taken in this particular column. Whatever is the area which is covered is normally taken. One more thing, there are people who also take it in a different fashion, like they select months. I am going to select months in the column of period. Like I may select a month of March, I may select the month of September, I may select the month of May. So such specific months are also given in the period column. Now the next one becomes the selection criteria. Now what is the selection criteria? Whether I select all the documents or whether I select the random documents, or can I apply the same category issue here, like A category files or B category or C category, which we normally do it in ABC analysis, like A being the high value items, B being the medium value items, and C being the lower value items. So I can relate that particular thing to this particular selection criteria also and bring in those information in this. Then we have to very clearly get the audit plan formally approved. The discussion on the audit plan should definitely be taken up by the assistant commissioner or deputy commissioner of the circle and should always be approved by the additional joint commissioner of the audit commissionerate. Now here the most normal thing is the involvement of the officers need be documented in the file, so that comes as a extra scoring point when the files are taken up for quality assurance review. Let us see that if at all, if a particular item is not properly covered or not addressed at all in the audit plan. In such a situation, now after having identified that particular unit as an evasion prone unit or unit which has a evasion prone commodity or a evasion prone service, or having a specific item which is debarred or something like that, which is missed out, standards very clearly mention that the format need to be completely followed. It has to be approved. Now also there are certain things like deviation in an audit plan. Now there are many commissionerates which have addressed the issue of traveling 400 to 500 kilometers to audit a particular unit. In such situations, the audit plan always, which is approved, need be followed. But for deviations, the approval can be ascertained over phone or by fax. Such approvals need be taken definitely and be documented very much without any missing. Like if at all, if a particular issue which comes up while going in for an audit and that is not documented, but a verification paper is prepared with regard to that without approval of the senior officer, that will definitely not reflect good on that particular file. Please take care of such smaller deviations always. Take care of the format. Don't deviate from the regular practices which are followed. Adhere to the standards of audit.